Do you remember the 1980s? I sure don't because I wasn't born then, but I'm pretty sure the developer Denver doesn't either. OutDrive, an endless runner game, seems to think the opening titles to Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon are the 1980s in their entirety, and while I do like the wireframe polygons and pink neon lights, you need a bit more than that to be 80s. Even Hotline Miami's use of electric diarrhea had backed it up with gore, disturbing characters, and a fair fun challenge. The devs also seem to think that by saying this is not a video game but, and I quote, an aesthetic concept, it could be shielded from video game critique. Nope! And because I'm petty, spiteful, and have nothing else better to do, I'm going to review this aesthetic concept. I mean, what's there to be scared about? Nothing, if your video game is good. OutDrive as you play as a bloke who's taken some lass out. I say some lass because the game keeps referring to her as the girl, so I'm not going to claim they're siblings or lovers or anything like that. Anyway, in a very not 80s animated sequence, we see some gangsters park up beside you and start shooting. Thanks to the protagonist's rotating tri-arm, he fires at the dopey gangsters. Very slowly and slays them all. Just one problem. Your girlfriend or sisters or whoever gets shot, and I've not got a shred of sympathy for her when she has about 6 seconds to just get back in the car, which we'll later find out is goddamn bulletproof. So she's not got much time left and there's only one thing for it. Your car tells you to hook her up to the engine and maintain a high speed. If you drop below a certain speed for a long enough time, she dies. Go too fast and the engine overheats and the girl also dies. The message that Rex Colt gets, or whoever the driver's cosplaying as, is quite menacing. It looks like the villain sent it, but they also try to shoot him down in helicopters at the seemingly random intervals. I say seeming a lot, don't I? The game's an endless runner, a genre pretty much invented by Crash Bandicoot. Although the endless part of that wasn't necessarily true. In fact, what I just said about Crash isn't true, but I like saying his name. Crash Bandicoot. Still, the genre's a hit on mobile phones, and of course we need more innovations of phones on PC. But to call it a runner would be untrue, given how we're in a car. Unfortunately, awkward controls with the runner would be annoying, certainly, but with a car you can expect a lot more to go tits up. And I'm not disappointed. The controls are slippier than Jason Statham in that car movie where he gets all greased up. That really was a thing, honest. He had a shirt off and everything. Look, what I'm trying to say is it's a good job the game's got a load of straight lines because of this. Because of the slippery controls, I mean. Not because of Jason Statham. What few times the drifting works, you can prevent grinding on the walls and quickly turning into one of the conveniently placed ramps during a roadblock. But besides the early controls, roadblocks and turns I can never get right, OutDrive only features one other adversary. The gunship. Well, an attack helicopter anyway. This thing will shoot at you, chipping away at your car and causing blocks to materialise, leading you to crash and drift in all the wrong ways. Here's the thing though, the chopper can't actually destroy your car, so the only thing it does is serve to annoy you. Hell, it even blows up after a few seconds without you doing anything to it, provided the girl survives the duration of the one-sided battle. And that's it. The only things that can stop you now are boredom, tiredness, or a wank break. Being a video game reviewer, I still want to talk about the visuals and soundtracks, and despite my previous bitterness and scorn, I adore this game's aesthetics. Its electric blue, pink and orange colour scheme, combined with a threateningly dark world, makes for an experience like no other. Except Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. And the different environments, while at a glance may look similar, do feel varied enough to keep me playing for about 20 minutes at a time. The different tunnels, lakes, mountain overpasses and cities change noticeably, but it only takes half an hour to see all of the environments the game has to offer. Still, it's beautiful nonetheless. I think more skyscrapers in the cities, maybe some virtual fish leaping out of the polygonal ponds, and vector birds in the mountains will be a welcome sight, and give the world some more details that only add to the experience. Or perhaps the loneliness, the stillness of the world makes you feel that all that matters is you, the girl, and the drive. It's some pretty deep stuff, if I'm honest. The music is, well, I'm not gonna lie, it's the most 80s thing here. It's synth pop at its finest, even topping Hotline Miami's club tracks at times. There's only a few songs, and for a game that focuses mostly on its visuals and sound design, there's no sound options in the game. So you can't choose what songs you want to play unless you reset the game with the R key. Alas, because it's all licensed, I'm having to use Blood Dragon's music for the most part, so if you want to experience this glorious, nostalgic blast of the past, you'll have to buy it and try it for yourself. It's time now. Sorry about that. It's time now to give you my final thoughts. As a video game, OutDrive isn't very good. The controls need way more work, not to mention decent controller and racing wheel support to function properly, and there has to be more challenges than incompetent physics design and lazily placed obstacles. I mean, the only thing I struggled with was staying awake through the same difficulty over and over again. While it is relatively cheap on Steam, I'd still prefer to put that money towards the artists rather than play just for the soundtrack. I can't really enjoy the music racing in this game as I would in something like Audio Surf or Guitar Hero, where there's a rhythm to what you're doing. That doesn't really work in a racing game, especially one with controls like these. It pains me to say that I can't recommend OutDrive because its replay value is incredibly low, and all it does in its 20 minutes runtime is allow you to taste some of the visuals and music before you go to find those artists on SoundCloud or Bandcamp. Also, just look at the system specs. I mean, just look at them. More devs need to do this. Still, I've always been a fan of the idea of endless running and driving in fiction, that the only threats we face are the inevitability of exhaustion and starvation. Now, if they were to combine that with the grim dark Papers, Please, you'd have a great game that I'd be willing to buy. Or better yet, just read Stephen King's The Long Walk. It's rare, but thrilling stuff. Until the next time, I'm Johnbonne, your #1 source for #2 games, and I still haven't got an ending for you. One of these days, I'm just going to do something completely out of whack and surprise you and throw you.
Haven't we gotten far for a pair of fuzzy marsupials? I am the Imperious Troopy, master of time and creator of the very time twister machine you see before you. Uka Uka and Dr.